at least for me personally, you know, it's the Roots are gonna play there next year. I don't want no damage to the seats. I don't want no damage to anything with the Coliseum. You know, just fuck you, John Fisher's chants really loud. Sell the team again. You know.
I wonder where he'll be. He definitely won't be there.
He won't. No.
Has anyone seen Dave Kaval since?
Who?
Exactly. I haven't seen him. Is Billy Bean still alive? John Fisher, he's never been there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised. So, I mean, I wonder if Kaval might make an appearance. I'm pretty sure he won't.
I went to Caval's press conference when he was hired.
Okay.
He was actually in the West Side Club. And I heard about like, oh, I went to Stanford and I'm from Cleveland and I wrote a book about going to every stadium and, you know, I helped get the stadium built in San Jose for the Quakes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, this guy seems cool. And then I remember going to an event at Ricky's in San Leandro where I can't remember what it was, but I am seated and Dave was one of the speakers. So we're sitting together on the dais and I was like, so anyway, and he was like, and so I said to you, I was like, Kaval, he's not very friendly, and you went, he'll only talk to you on social media when everyone can see it. And I was like, oh, and I thought, okay, and then I didn't realize what an a-hole he was. And I was just like, okay, that kind of showed me right there a little bit.
He's a snake. You know, shout out to the San Jose Ultras. They warned our fan base, and they were happy when he left San Jose. So that just goes to show you the power of the fans, you know. But
I am an ultra, by the way.
I know. I got nothing. I love the Ultras. But
well, they gave me a scarf.
Yeah.
I listen.
Well, what do you think about all the protests that was going on in 2023? The sell the team stuff.
I think it was amazing. I want to say when Stu Clary, the head coach of Vacaville High School, he came on my show and talked about a reverse boycott. I want to say that was the seedling of what happened, and it was an amazing day. And then Rob Manfred said, they got 26,000, and I thought, oh, that's how it is, huh? But I actually knew a guy who hung Fisher in effigy from the third deck. It only stood up there for about 15 seconds. But I mean, that's the kind of thing where I was talking about with Paul and Brian Carmel Paul Friedman and Brian Carmel of the Ballers, because you think, what can I do as a fan? Because we feel so helpless, right?
You do.
You're watching your dog bleed to death on the lawn and you can't do anything. So they did something. But for us, that's what we did. Now, I'll tell you this, the old man here, when the Raiders were moving, they were on Monday Night Football in 1982, and that we decided, because they had these shirts that said "Go Oakland Raiders," and the "Go" was crossed out and it said "Stay." So we were all wearing those shirts, and we said at the end of the first quarter, we're all going to leave our seats and go to the concourse, and so the whole nation will see an empty stadium. So we did that for about 3 minutes, and then we went back to our seats, and they moved to LA. So it's like I said, we feel that reminds me of what we did then.
Yeah.
And you just try to do whatever you can.
Oh God.
So,
protesting.
Jeez. So we're saying as American fans are bitches for not standing up to no. So that's what drives me crazy is that like in Europe, like. You know the whole Super League. Remember the Super League that was announced and all that.
They tried it.
And they rioted and they went to the I remember Man United Stadium full of fans just kind of saying "fuck you." We're not gonna fucking do this shit. Yeah. Like,
they have pitch.
What is the difference? What do you think is the difference from that to here? Is it the years of a team being there for so long? Or what? Like what?
Well, over there, and as you know, I've been there many times. Been to a lot of stadia over there, and they have wrote for a newspaper over there as well, a soccer column.
What's the name of it?
European Soccer Weekly
in the UK.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so you got to remember, when you were a little kid, your grandfather had a tat of the club. Like it goes back to probably the 1880s, maybe even earlier. Yeah, and so. They would have these bond schemes. They have all these little things where the club would try that, and sometimes you would do a pitch invasion where you could just go onto the field, sit crisscross applesauce, and the ref would go like, oh, I guess we're done.
We're having tea.
Yeah, I guess we're done. Like, you could do things like that. That's like when I worked at the World Cup in '94 at Stanford, when FIFA came out to inspect the stadium, and it had 8 lanes of track, but they said, how do you keep the fans off the field? Where's the razor wire? Where's the moat? And they're like, outside of Morgana the Kissing Bandit, we don't really run on the field in America unless you want to like do a streaking disco duck thing. And so there, they will do that.
Yeah.
So the fans are much more, they care much more because it's much more in their face. In America, like, we don't know where John Fisher lives, we don't know what he does. But one of the more disappointing things about him, I can tell you one of the more disappointing things about him. So his dad, Don Fisher, no longer with us, Don and Doris, they started the Gap on Cherry Lane and San Bruno. They sold Levi's. That's all they did. They sold Levi's. Like, how would that work? Multi-billion-dollar worldwide industry. They helped save the Giants with McGowan and Shorenstein and Nibby and Alan Beyer and all those guys. And so then when their kid was like, well, I want to buy a team. That's the thing. He's a Bay Area guy. He went to Cal. It's not like you have an owner come in from Boston and say, oh, I finally get to own a team. And be like, I'm moving him. Like the guy from Oklahoma City, he took the Sonics to Oklahoma City. This is a Bay Area guy. And that's the thing that makes it even more unbelievable that he's that out of touch and can break that many hearts. Like, I despise the Denver Broncos, but I would never buy them and move them. I couldn't be I couldn't be that heartless.
Yeah. But Bay Area unite, though, you know.
Bay Area unite, baby.
Except
Oakland.
Until Oakland's involved in it, then we just look over them.
You know, we've been fighting for the A's forever, and I just wanted to get your scoop on all this shit that we've been through, from city hall meetings, from when we first met to like that was back in the day. Like, I can't believe it's been that long. Like, what are your thoughts about that? Remember, I mean, we held rallies without even no A sanctioned rallies. Like, it was literally you coming out. It was Josh Reddick coming out because we just knew you, and we're like, hey, we're gonna do this. You know, we don't give a fuck.
We got Kara Savoy.
We got Kara Savoy one time, and we were like, fuck it, we're gonna do our own thing because that's the way we were just treated as Ace fans. You know.
Well, I got to give a little shout out to Gene Kwan, who twice helped us with that. But yeah, I remember going to Victory Court to that planning meeting, and it was Doug Boxer and Libby Schaff was actually on the panel. And it reminded me why I hate politics so much, because I sat there, and Victory Court was the last thing on the docket, if you might remember. And there was a guy saying, you know, I own a McDonald's in Temescal, and I'm going to do the new drive-through over here. And this woman was like, yeah, I'm going to vote no. And everybody else voted yes. And I saw her on BART, and I was like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'll give a shout out to Oaktown Pirate, who's no longer with us, because he brought a real naval saber into City Hall. How he brought a sword. Do you remember him? So
I forgot all about this. Oh,
I'll give a shout out to George, who was our security when
Jorge,
an unhoused heckler came in. Jorge grabbed him by the collar and led him away, and the guy said, you ain't 5-0, but he did it anyway. Now, we've been through a lot together, and we fought for my dad came to a couple of those rallies. They said an Oakland native, and it's just, after what we were promised with Rooted in Oakland, it just feels like such a backstab, because the Warriors and the Raiders never promised they would stay. So it just is really, really lame.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that the protests and everything, the vast majority, I would honestly blame social media. A lot of things that I've heard was that too little, too late. And I'm like, we've been doing this isn't
years.
Yeah, it wasn't just last year. Like you were just saying earlier, you were doing this for the Raiders. Like with,
yeah,
Vogue and Raiders.
1981.
And stay Oakland Raiders. So we've been doing this for years, so that's why we fight so hard. So, man.
And by the way, I got to throw out, like, not just Kaval, but Catherine Aker as well.
Oh, yeah.
Who, I'll just say this, that when we traded Sonny Gray, and I just shredded it, and then she complained to my boss, and she said, "We're the A's flagship, and we can't have someone like this." And I responded, "I don't work for you, and until you pay my salary, you can't tell me what to say." So I never really cared for her after that.
No, I know, and I mean, I had to work with her. I was gonna say the pleasure, but there was no pleasure at all. It was just multiple times of just kind of disagreements and her not understanding, you know, how us fans felt or how we work or how even the community works around things in Oakland. And it's again, it's just the same thing with the Ballers. I mean, they got it done. It just takes knowing Oakland, the community, right? And I think that's where they lacked, and they thought that it was just like, we're major league, so you just have to bow down to us, and it's like that's not it.
That's why I want to give a shout out to the people on the A's who are cool. Like, I've known Dave Renetti since the 90s. I can think about a lot of good people over there, a lot of the security guards, of course. Yeah, I like Mickey Morabito. We like Steve Vucinich, who retired. Obviously, I love Ken Korak. I mean, there are so many good people that work there, and I feel bad for them that they're sort of... Can you imagine having a boss that's this evil and mean, and you have your dream job? You're working for a major league team, maybe your favorite team in your hometown, and then your boss sucks and makes you tainted some way. So I just want to give a shout out to the people who have had to put up with that ownership group.